Okay, now we're going to do a review of brief exercise 13.7. Now, there's something I want to warn you about real quick. If you look at this exercise, brief exercise 13.7 is Lexington, and we're talking about payroll. However, the slides that come from the publisher, you notice that that has nothing to do with Lexington. It's Dillon's. So what I'm trying to warn you against is to ignore the slides because they're not correct. This is actually brief exercise 13.6, but whatever. We're going to do 13.7. We're going to do the actual one that's due for homework, Lexington Corporation. So when we go to payroll, I'm going to squeeze down a little bit in these to get there. Payroll is one of those things that we kind of feel comfortable with because most everybody that I've taught has at one time been an employee. So they've seen their payroll, they've seen their own checks, and they understand that things get taken out of them, they get withheld. But one thing is that there's two parts to the payroll. There's what the employee pays through the withholdings, and then there's the employer paying the payroll taxes. So for this problem, we're going to be focused just on the expenses that are associated with the employees. So we're just looking at that part. So this is a good example. Assume weekly payroll of $10,000. So the $10,000 is the gross amount. That's going to be the expense. Then you're going to take the amount for withholding, and they give you all the percentages. So you don't have to do too much there except for to multiply. You get your withholdings for taxes, so this would be the federal income tax withholdings. You get your FICA, which is your Social Security and Medicare, and then you get some stuff for the unions, right? Because employees got to pay their union dues. Now notice you don't put the unemployment stuff in. That's going to come later because the employee doesn't make that part of the payment. So once you do all this, the last thing you do is the cash, because that's the net amount that goes to the employees. All the rest of the stuff they take out of their check and they hold it for later. Then at the same time, the business is making payroll tax, which the employee doesn't really see. Now the employee paid FICA, we noticed that, $765, but the employer matches that. So they're going to send that to the federal government for Social Security and Medicare. They're going to also do the unemployment, federal unemployment tax, state unemployment tax. So those unemployment tax payables are being paid just by the company as an expense. Now, at this point, it's just a liability because they haven't remitted it yet. So that's why it looks like that. So to do this problem, we have the payroll of $24,000, taxes withheld of $1,836, federal taxes withholdings. So we have FICA tax, federal tax, and the state withholdings. These are all going to come out of the employees' payroll along with the insurance. So if I go to, got a lot of boxes open there. If I go to my journal entry, and this is not for August, I don't know what the date is, so ignore that. We see that we have the salaries and wages is 24, so that's the gross amount. Then we'll put in the FICA, the withholding tax, right? However, now I'm not sure if Wiley Plus calls it withholding tax payable, but it's going to be, the federal withholding taxes. Or in this case, I believe it's federal and state that they put there. So that's just how they did it for this problem. Typically, you see it separated. Then the insurance premium is what the employee pays on their behalf. They're part of the insurance. And then the net amount is going to be the $18,000. And that should be $18,004. So let me fix that so that you always got to have those debits equal to credits, right? So now that we have that, that's the journal entry that you do. You would also have to do a journal entry for the payroll taxes, but in this case, that's not required for brief exercise 13.7. But if you had to do it, it would look something like this. You would have your payroll tax expense, and then you would have your federal income tax, the Federal Insurance Contribution Act, which is Social Security and Medicare, unemployment for federal and state.